For my project, I chose the country of Bangladesh. Here's a map so you can see where Bangladesh lies in South Asia, next to India and Myanmar. I chose two dishes to make. The first one is vegetable paulo. The ingredients are very simple. It's rice, vegetables, ghee, ginger, bay leaf, onions, garlic, and water and salt. I altered this recipe a little bit because I couldn't find a small quantity of bay leaves, and I also didn't use ginger paste. I used fresh ginger. For this recipe, it really just calls for heating and sauteing some of the vegetables and mixing everything in with the rice and letting it cook for a long time. The second dish I chose to make was aloo borta, which is a Bengal-style mashed potatoes. These two meals probably would not be served together. Rice and potatoes isn't really a common thing, but I chose to make them because they seemed like they were at the level of my cooking abilities. Some of the ingredients for these mashed potatoes include mustard oil, onions, chilies. I added garlic, and I found another recipe that called for cilantro, so I ended up adding cilantro as well. For my project, I wanted to find a store that would have all the ingredients that I needed, and because Bangladesh is located so close to India, I thought an Indian food store would probably overlap with a lot of the ingredients that I might need, and it turned out to work out in my favor. When I went into the market, I was surprised by all the fresh produce and the variety of different products that they were selling. I had an interesting experience, and the owner actually looked at my list, my recipe list, and started to tell me how to cook the meal. So he gave me a few suggestions that I altered the recipe. One of them was he told me to use green chilies instead of red because they could be a little bit more less spicy than some of the red chilies. He didn't change too many ingredients. One of the recipes I had looked for called for lemon in the aloo borta, and he said that was not a good idea. He also told me in detail how to cook the rice and when to add certain ingredients, so it was really interesting to hear what a chef that's used to cooking food like that would normally do. Some of the ingredients that I had a hard time finding that the people in the store ended up helping me find were the mustard oil and the Cuda water, but they had everything that I needed for the recipe and I didn't have to go to any other store to get anything else. I needed fresh ginger, and I ended up with a piece of ginger root that was way larger than I needed for the recipe. There was plenty of options for spices and seeds that just went on, and for very large quantities I was surprised at how cheap everything was. Most of these bags were under $5 and would probably last me a year or longer. There was a lot of interesting produce and things that I would never see at a typical farmer's market that I might go to on the weekend around here, so it was interesting to see different things. You could purchase rice in very large quantities. If you were cooking rice every day, this might make sense. For me, I would never buy a bag of rice this big because it would take me a really long time to go through. So I'm going to go through the ingredients that I got at the market. Mustard oil, ghee, which is clarified butter, Cuda water, ginger root, fresh cilantro, red onions, green chilies, whole cloves, cardamom seeds, mixed vegetables. And here's a few items that I had that I was going to use that I had in the house already. Rice, potatoes, whole pepper, and cinnamon. So the first thing I have to do is chop up my vegetables. I also have garlic. This I had at home, but the recipe called for it. I'm probably going to use 2 cloves. A great chef once told me that if you crush the garlic with the side of the knife, you'll be able to peel off the wrapper a little bit more. So I'm going to work on the rice first because it's going to take the longest, and the first thing I need to do is heat up 2 tablespoons of ghee. This is the in-between of the rice, so there's ghee, water, onions, and rice all simmering in that pot, and now I'll be adding other ingredients. Here I'm adding cardamom seeds and cloves to the rice, which was a suggestion from the owner of the store. The Cuda water had a very interesting aroma to it, which I think altered the end smell of the rice. Here I'm adding black pepper and cinnamon. Okay, so now I'm working on the aloo borta, and it's basically mashed potatoes. I've got the water boiling. Now I'm going to chop up these potatoes. So the recipe that I found called for red chilies, and it said to use 2 of them. But when I went to the market and the owner was talking to me, he looked at the recipe and he said to try green chilies instead. So we got green chilies, and this is what I'm going with. I want to see how spicy they are before I put them all into the meal, so. Definitely spicy. So I'll probably go on the light end. Although I really like it, not everyone eating the meal will appreciate that much spice. My eyes are crying a little bit, but they are really good. I think this would probably be enough for the whole dish, but I'll include a few extras on the side. First I mashed the potatoes with the mustard oil to get them a little bit softer, and then I added the ingredients. Meanwhile, the rice cooked all the water out and was done. It had a sweet and interesting aroma to it. When everything was done, I served them on the same plate so you could see the aloo borta, as well as the rice paulo, very distinct, but together they turned out really good, and I really enjoyed the taste. The flavors were different and unique, and the smells and tastes were just not like the normal cooking that I would do at my house. Okay. I have to heat up the ghee. I'm going to start the rice first because it takes the longest, so I'm taking 2 tablespoons. So I was trying to film the first part, but I spilled the ghee, and I was trying to clean it up so that Merlin wouldn't eat it all, and he really liked the butter.